Greetings, escargots! This is Matt Harpatrick. Well, we see many different types of DreamWorks animation movies. The good, the bad, the underrated, the overrated, and the okay. But then you have some of the movies that you might have forgot were DreamWorks movies and ask yourself, what category did this fall under? It's a movie about snail racing! So out of all the DreamWorks movies I remember watching or having a good time, Turbo, in my opinion, is a movie I don't really remember very well. Directed by David Soren, he came up with an idea when he and his family moved to a new home with a backyard filled with snails, and his son had an interest in race cars, thus inspiring him to make a Fast and Furious style anime movie but with snails. Okay. While the film gained somewhat of a following plus a TV show on Netflix, it did underperform at the box office and nobody really talked about it all that much. But looking back on it years later, is there really something unique and special about this movie? Welcome to another episode of The Wonder Reviews. I guess it's time to catch up to a movie that I almost forgot even existed. This is Turbo. It's about a snail named Theo, played by Ryan Reynolds, and yes, that Ryan Reynolds, and he wants to be a racer, but being that he's a snail, everybody said that's not going to happen. One night, Theo falls into a car's engine and consumes some nitro gas, thus making him super fast because science, I guess. Later, he gets picked up by a human who works at a small plaza and meets some other colorful snail racers. But they figure out that if they can bring Theo, who is now called Turbo, into the Indy 500 and win the race, they will be popular and their town will be back on the map. So, after watching this movie, I can't help but address the major issue with the story. The plot is eerily similar to Pixar's Cars. It's literally the same storyline. There's a big shot trainee that wants to be a famous racer, he gets lost and lands on an uncharted town inhabited by shopkeepers and other residents. There's a grand race where he has to defeat a mean racer and the uncharted area gets back on the map. Yeah, Turbo is basically Cars, but with snails. And I know DreamWorks has a small history of copying Pixar movies like A Bug's Life vs. Ants and Finding Nemo vs. Shark Tale. As for Turbo the movie, it makes the plot very unoriginal, predictable, and not that interesting. I wouldn't go as far as to say Cars had an epic or complex film, but there was a pleasant charm and backstory towards Radiator Springs and the characters that lived there, which explains why the place means so much to them. Here though, I don't know anything about Starlight Plaza, the shops, or the characters that live here throughout the movie. Okay, maybe I should drop the comparison to Cars and go to a different mindset. Is the film still at least enjoyable? Well, it varies. Some of the humor can be a bit funny, but most of them are bland and just fall flat. There are some cool scenes whenever Turbo tries to race or go fast, but the journey on putting the plaza on the map can feel long and boring, especially with the arguments between Turbo and Chet.
Chet, just hear me out.
Theo, a snail cannot race in a competition meant for cars.
Oh, did I forget to mention that Turbo also has car features like blinkers, headlights, radio pop songs, and more? Don't ask why the nitrous oxide can give him all that, it just happens. Which makes it more dumb than cool. I can see where they're going with the snail racing idea, but the story's execution is weak and uninspiring. If you want to see an amazing anime sports movie with an underdog journey, watch Surf's Up. It explains why surfing penguins are a thing, why Cody looks up to Big Z, and why is he following his dreams of surfing the waves. Turbo, on the other hand, is trying to act like we're supposed to know why the snails want to race and why the humans are trying to save the plaza. But really, we don't know all that much, honestly, because we don't know them very well. When it comes to the Turbo characters, they are barely even characters worth remembering. The acting is okay, and I know some of them did their best for what they were given in terms of the script, but because the movie has given us so many characters and given us so little time to know them, they end up being rather forgettable, just serving one gag or trait and nothing else. This also applies to the main character, Turbo. He's just the old cliche as the snail that has a dream to follow and wants to be a racer, and that's all he is in the entire film. Chet is the overprotective brother that has doubts about Turbo's dreams, and that's all there is to him. The movie doesn't give us more about their relationship or their characters other than Turbo wants to race and Chet wants to either keep him out of trouble or try to support his dream. For the other characters, there's Tito, who is also a big dreamer like Turbo that's trying to put their plaza on the map by going big while his brother Angelo wants him to stay out of trouble and try to run their business smoothly. I will give some credit that the relationship between Tito and Angelo is interesting because they do parallel the connection between Turbo and Chet. But as I mentioned before, I would have liked it if they showed more of their brotherhoods. Even with the connection between Tito and Turbo, they basically copy the same concept as Ratatouille, where man makes friends with an animal and become a team. For the rest of the characters, they really don't matter. All the other humans at the plaza are only known for their one job location, and that's it. Well, the other snail raisers have this one trait or gag that's really not funny, like White Shadow likes to catchphrase his name whenever he goes to the shadows, and Burn has a crush on Chet. The only snail character that feels like an actual character is Whiplash. Voiced by Samuel Jackson, he's the leader of the Starlight Plaza and served as Turbo's mentor. With his enthusiasm and high-spirited energy, he's the only one to supply some enjoyable moments from the movie. Finally, there's Guy Gagne, a popular racing champion that Turbo idolized, but once he enters the race, he's not really a nice guy, he's just trying to uphold his champion reputation. He can't be easily persuasive when Turbo tries to enter the Indy 500, but as a villain, he's pretty boring. The only thing that's kinda enjoyable about the movie is the animation. It's not spectacular, and we don't really go to any magical places like the past or present DreamWorks movies, but for a movie that's about a super fast snail, they did what they could to make the concept unique in terms of visuals. The designs of the snails are colorful, the humans have some caricature looks that are somewhat similar to Megamind and B-Movie, and the character animation is pretty good. But when it comes to the backgrounds, they don't offer a lot. Starlight Plaza itself is just an ordinary marketplace that barely shows the locations the humans work there. Even the Indy 500 doesn't feel like a grand racetrack. The only setting that brings some creativity is the garden where Turbo and the other snails harvest some tomatoes. Since it is from the perspective of the snails, it shows a close-up of how big the places can be to them. With the visuals, whenever Turbo goes fast, it is really nice to look at by giving a Tron Light Cycle style flair to the speed. Plus, there are some nice fantasy scenes from Turbo, like when he tries to reach the big tomato or when he tries to run away from the lawnmower. And I will admit, some of the racing scenes are fun to watch, and there was even a well-executed scene where Turbo doesn't win a race, even with his newfound speed. There is one portion of the film that I wish they could have done much sooner to the story, and that is the new modifications on the other snail characters. They give them some additional features to make them fast as Turbo, along with some new decorations. But the movie would rather give Turbo all of that throughout the running time and save the rest till the end. A snail may not make any sort of animal sound, but I think this movie has a more suitable noise. Turbo is not one of the worst DreamWorks movies. It's okay with some nice animation and some good voice acting, but the story is dull, unoriginal, and predictable, and the characters are forgettable. Maybe some kids might enjoy it, but if you enjoy sports or racing movies, I think you'll have a good time with it. If not, or you're just not into a movie about snail racing, I recommend watching a funny SpongeBob or Chowder cartoon. The only thing I'm going to remember from this film after the review is the Snail's Fat remix that they tried to go viral on. They say Slow and Steady wins the race, so there is really no rush to go check it out or anything. I'm going to give Turbo a C-. Not a bad movie, it's just that there are better options out there in terms of anime sports movies. I'm Matt Howard Patrick. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to sleep at the Cozy Cone Motel. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, check out these other videos, or feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more upcoming reviews and other projects. I'll see you soon.